Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar jointly hosted by Capgemini and Red Hat. Our focus today is to see how we can leverage IoT and mobility to enable the safe return of workers and also ensure ongoing productivity. My name is Chirant, and I'm a Senior Director in the North America Cloud Practice of Capgemini. I have over 20 years of experience in the industry, and today I will be talking about the specific solution. Along with me, I have Ashok, who is also the Managing Solutions Architect within the Capgemini Cloud Practice. So without much ado, let's look at what we're going to talk about, right? I'm going to lay out what the need for workplace safety solutions are, what's the business context in which they operate. After I lay the groundwork, I'll talk about our solution, the digital worker management solution. And then we'll talk about how we can actually get started with this solution. This is where we'll go from concept to business outcomes. So what's the business context for this particular solution? If you look at some of the numbers that are published by OSHA, the safety and health metrics have pretty much plateaued across most of the industries, from manufacturing to construction to natural resources and mining. So you will see that both fatal as well as non-fatal injuries have pretty much plateaued. And you would wonder why this is the case. There is so much of emphasis within manufacturing organizations, within construction organizations on safety. Even to enter office, you have to go through a 15-minute safety briefing. With so much focus, you wonder why these numbers have actually plateaued. If you also look at the productivity of manufacturing plants outside of the typical assembly line, you will see that the productivity is where it was in the early 1970s. There really hasn't been significant improvement of productivity, like I said, outside the assembly lines. And what this actually results in is that there's loss of productivity, there is scheduled slippage. Typically, when companies use contract labor, there's a lot of revenue leakage because of this. And so the cost impact of this productivity loss is pretty high. And of course, since February of this year, the overhang of COVID has been significant. In the US, we see over 6 million cases as far as COVID is concerned. And this has led to significant loss of productivity. Plants have had to be shut down. There has to be specific sanitation routines that need to be followed. And as these plants really start to come back up, we want to be able to see how we can reduce the risk of COVID impacting workers and also plants being closed down. So given all this from a business context, we wanted to see if we can throw technology at this problem to be able to address the productivity and safety of both workers and contractors. So that's really where our solution, the digital worker management solution, comes in. This is a solution that we built to improve crew safety and productivity. What exactly is this solution, right? That's the key point. The solution itself is fairly simplistic to understand. There are three main components to this. The first component is what you would see in the middle of the screen. This is a cloud-based monitoring and reporting application, which is typically manned by a safety officer in a given plant or in a given facility. This is hosted on the cloud, like I said. It's where the safety officer can actually sit down and monitor the entire plant. You could also have an enterprise level safety officer who could sit and monitor the plant, monitor plants right across the enterprise. This app is connected to the internet, and it connects to the two other solutions or components on the left and the right. On the left, you have a mobile app that is typically given to crew who are operating in the plant. This mobile app could be deployed either on something as simple as a wearable, uh, or it could go on to be deployed on a mobile phone, a ruggedized tablet, and so on. It can also easily interact with other equipment that might be available. So it could be a hard hat camera, a body mounted sensor, and so on. The functionality that is available to the crew on the app can be dialed up and dialed down depending on the screen real estate that is available. This app is typically connected into the cloud monitoring and reporting application via Wi-Fi or LTE. The app itself is also designed to work in an offline mode with a little bit of reduced functionality if it does go offline. But all the key functionality is available in both offline and online modes. The third component of the solution itself is data feeds coming in from various sensors and interfaces. So for example, we connect into weather interfaces, which can then be used to warn workers about things like threat of lightning or rain. It's connected into temperature sensors to ensure that workers are always working in the right ambient temperature. It can be connected to gas sensors to, again, notify workers in case there is a leak. We also have the ability to connect into security cameras as well as uh, mobile assets, things like forklifts or vacuum trucks. Yeah. All of these sensors and devices are integrated into the safety monitoring console via APIs. And like I was giving some examples, the idea is to take all these data feeds, process them on the cloud, make some intelligent decisions on the basis of that, and push that along to the crew. So if, for example, there is a gas leak, the crew on the field can immediately be notified about this gas leak, and they can then be allowed to muster at a safe area. So that's pretty much what we have in terms of the solution. Three simple components, but very powerful when it comes to giving insights to the workers who might be in different parts of the plant. So now that I have talked a little bit about the solution, let's go and look at some of the key use cases that the solution actually addresses. So like I said, the key use case that we want to look at, key use cases that we want to look at is, to start with, worker productivity. So how do we really ensure worker productivity? The mobile app typically gives all the necessary cues to the workers about what needs to be done on a given day, right? So they have all the work orders that need to be addressed. They have checklists for each of those work orders. They have work instructions that are sent to them. They also have the ability to track status of the work. In addition to that, supervisors get the ability to keep tabs on what their crew is working on, and they have the ability to reassign them in real time because they have visibility into the crew's work at any given point in time. It also removes all paperwork, so timesheets get automated, and all paperwork associated with time tracking is completely eliminated. The supervisor also has the ability to call for movable assets if necessary from wherever he is at any point in time. A key feature that is also exists is the whole concept of remote collaboration and monitoring. So if there is a newbie on the field and he needs certain help, the application has the ability to remote call in an expert and get advice from them. So that's on the productivity, or the first pillar. The second pillar, very key again, is around worker safety. So a worker, when he is or crew, when he is within the plant premises, has the ability to call for help. So there is SOS that exists. He is typically geofenced depending on the training that he has been provided with. In case there is an emergency and mustering needs to be carried out, there is the ability to automatically muster and reconcile for people. Um, we talked a lot about sensor data being leveraged to provide insights to workers. So a typical example would be the classic gas leak scenario where people can then muster. We also have the ability to go into video feeds, uh, especially with sensitive installations in case there is something going wrong. So these are the two parts of the solution that really drive that improved productivity and safety. Um, but the other key elements also include reporting, so analytics, which can then be used to identify any productivity bottlenecks. We have the ability to look at how people are leveraging the layout of the plant and how those could actually be optimized. We could look at what are some of the key barriers that crew face when they're working, which is the whole barrier analysis. And also from a compliance standpoint, we have the ability to pull up reports. So do things like incident response reviews, so what we call as the playback feature. We have the ability to report on incidents and be able to send that out to OSHA and so on and so forth. The last thing that I want to talk about is very topical, and given the situation, COVID situation that we face, there are key use cases that we've built into the solution from a COVID-19 standpoint. There are three pillars of this from a use case standpoint. The first pillar is what we call as going touchless. So there are use cases that ensure that crew don't have to touch any surface as they come into work and leave work. So I will actually show a quick video of how this can be done so that people can better understand what we're talking about. We also have the use case and the capability to ensure that while workers are working, they always maintain social distance. This basically helps in minimizing the spread of infection. And then the last thing that we also want to be able to show you is the ability to do contact tracing should things go wrong within the factory premises itself. So this was a quick overview of the business capabilities that the digital worker management solution actually provides. With that, I just want to be able to take you through a few screens and few videos to actually make sure that the point kind of is driven home. So what we talked about, so the first thing we talked about from a COVID-19 standpoint was this whole process of becoming touchless. And this touchless process is important both from managing visitors as well as managing your own crew. The process itself is fairly similar. It does not differentiate between visitors and crew. Essentially, visitors or crew can come in. They have a QR code that is presented to them. They can just use their mobile phone to click on this particular QR that you see on the screen. They're presented with a set of questions. They can quickly answer those questions and submit it. And once this is submitted, it actually goes down to the security people who are manning the terminal, and it gives them kind of an indicator whether this person is okay to go. You can also do body temperature checks at this point in time and approve whether a person can actually be allowed inside the premises or not. So that's the first feature that I wanted to talk about from a COVID-19 standpoint, the entire touchless feature. The next feature that is so critical in these days is how do we really ensure social distancing? I'm going to talk less, given that I have been doing a lot of talking, and just rely on a video that you can see on your screen on the left-hand side. So what you really see is a mobile device, and this is the mobile device of a crew member. He logs in. As you can see that the app actually prompts the user in case there is low battery, but he anyway powers through. He answers a bunch of questions, and then he's logged in. as you can see, he can see all the work orders that are assigned to him. He can pull up a site map. He can look for assets, so on and so forth. But that's not really what we're focusing on today. He gets to work, and this is the site that he's actually working on. He could actually zoom into the site if he does need to. But as he progresses through his work on the given day, he gets too close to another worker. And you can see that he's automatically notified that he has breached the social distancing norms. You can see the alert on the bottom of the screen. There are haptics to also indicate this. Obviously, all the names, etc., are anonymized, so we take care of worker privacy at all points in time. And this is the cue for the person to really step back and make sure that that social distancing is maintained. Incidentally, if someone was monitoring, the site safety officer was monitoring this particular site, what he would see is something which is very similar to the screen. Initially, these two icons would have been separated by a specific distance, but as they kind of get too close to each other, they go in the red. So there is some map-based confirmation that is also available to the site safety officer so he can take action. And if he did have access, the site safety officer did have access to a video camera which was placed close to these people, he could actually pull that up. And that's really the screen that you see at the bottom, where he could actually get visual confirmation, and then he can reach out to the folks who are too close and kind of tell them that they have breached the norm. And then the next thing that we could quickly do is, let's say people have, things have gone wrong in the plant, and there is a need to be able to actually contact trace. And there's a simple report that the site safety officer can pull up. The person who has unfortunately been infected can be pulled up. You can give a date range, and then you can identify all the primary and secondary contacts for this person. Primary are people who might have actually come in contact directly with the person, and secondary could be their contact. So we have the ability to pull that report up. We can also see all the different areas that that person has visited, so that then you can actually have plans to sanitize the entire area. So that's the contact tracing piece. And the last pretty fun piece in this whole solution is the ability to also do one, of course, we talked about it, geofencing based on the training that has been provided to crew. The crews can actually be geofenced, so that, let's say, a plumbing worker tries to access an electrical grid, and he hasn't obviously got the training for that. He's automatically notified that he shouldn't be in the area that he is. The central monitoring console also gets that notification. But in case, so that's the geofencing piece. But in case, let's say that there is a newbie who is in the plant and he needs to get something fixed real quick, he then has the ability to video call into an expert who might be sitting somewhere far off, and really use some collaboration tools to ensure that this work actually gets done. So those were some of the key COVID-19 related use cases that we wanted to talk about. And before I hand over the session to Ashok so he can talk about some of the case studies that we have, just wanted to talk about some of the business outcomes that we can drive. Typically, the solution has the ability to drive down any contractor billing leakages, because now you can identify the time spent on real work because of the tracking that is possible within the solution. What we've seen is that there's at least a 10% improvement as far as wrench time for crew is concerned. And lastly, we also have the ability to drive up schedule compliance, because now the wrench time is increasing, which means that we can get more work done. Schedule compliance can improve, and we can also look at what are some of the bottlenecks that crew are facing within a given work site to be able to drive better schedule compliance. Having said that, I think we want to talk about a key use case. And Ashok was there on the plant with the hard hat and all the PPEs. So, request Ashok if you could talk through the solution that we had implemented with a refinery client and take our audience through how we can get this done.
Thank you, Chirant. A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our audience. I'll just start off with a brief introduction of myself. I'm a cloud solution architect at Capgemini, been with the company for a little more than 4 years. And prior to that, I was a G employee for almost 70 plus years, bringing 20 plus years of experience, industry experience in digital domain, and have been involved with digital transformation initiatives throughout my career. So, with that, I will talk about this very exciting experience I had working on an oil refinery. This is one of our very good use cases here. And basically, when we started this project, it was designed only with safety improvement as the prime requirement from the customer. The customer wanted to ensure that the contractor workers that are on site, which keep on changing, are safe and they do not enter unsafe zones within the site. So what this solution did is that within a month we were able to configure the contractor workers smart devices and mobile devices in a way where we could track their locations. And through that, we were able to lay out geofencing for the entire site and call clearly the unsafe zones, mark those very clearly. So the workers could see it, as well as you could have management look at those live. And as workers went about doing their job for the day, through that tracking, we would be able to notify them for any time they go into unsafe zone inadvertently, and incident would be logged for that automatically. We would also have ability for them to do collaboration in terms of when they really need help. So there were some capabilities for SOS alerting, and there were good notifications sent instantaneously to ensure that workers can take care of their safety. So while those features were very helpful, because these contractors sometimes are changing so fast that they come to the new site and they really need to be informed about safety, and they need to be operating their stuff very, very safe. But when we instrumented them with this tracking, we were able to get a huge benefit in terms of improving their productivity. Now, how did we do that? The fact that we were able to monitor the workers, right? We were able to get a macro level understanding of how workers were able to accomplish their tasks and how much time they spent in each zone, which gave us ability to track them at a very granular level and compare and understand what are some of the roadblocks that are coming in their way for being productive. So, for example, at the start, they would come and assemble in a location, and there'll be safety briefing. And sometimes those safety briefing would go very long, and the overall ramp up time for them to get started would be huge. Similarly, in the breaks when they would be taking lunch, right, there would be a huge ramp up time that we would observe. And we would also see that in the zones, how much time they are spending and how much time are they really looking with respect to movement right across the site. So there are times when they don't find their materials, and as a result they have to travel to other locations of the site. Are those equipments located near the work location, or are they very far away, right? So some of these data points get captured at the macro level, and you can see some of the benefits we were able to observe, right? So improvement in workers' time spent in productive work zones from 40% to 60%, huge productivity improvement. Okay, ramp up time was improved. 80% of workers at work zones within 60 minutes of login time, and 60% of the workers at work zones after 90 minutes to 120 minutes. So Insights in these areas again enabled the organization to become very productive. And the productivity was achieved in such a way that from there on, the whole project became self funding, right? So additional ideas were now poured in, but because of this productivity improvements, the project started self funding and self paying out. So, hope this conveys the message of how, in a very quick time, you can get this software implemented and achieve the much needed benefits of safety and productivity. And now that we have this unfortunate COVID situation, we have enhanced the solution, as you saw Chirant walk you through, where you can track social distancing and enable that to be followed, as well as in the event anybody gets infected, you can have a very detailed contact tracing. So this enables for workers to come and have a safe return to work. A lot of people are working from home, and productivity is further impacted in today's world. So this solution has capability to get to the new norm, okay, by ensuring that workers are safe. So, with that said, let me go and talk about some of the getting started, right? How do you get started on this? So, I'll present three considerations to you. The first one being about the importance of partnering. So, as you saw, right, in the case study I just explained, it took us just a month to configure the mobile devices and the smartwatches, lay out the entire process, train the team, get this solution rolling for a set of 25 users. And they were already on, right? If you avoid partnering and try to do it yourself, you'll spend years to build a solution. Finding the right skill set is challenging in this area, which is what where we bring in that value. You'll be distracted from your core business, right? For example, if you are in the business of oil refinery, you need to be focusing on that core business, right, rather than building digital solutions. Partnering gives you ability to get the best at a very cheap cost. Okay. As you can see, right, there is this solution that is available, right? We have several accelerators and tools that we bring to bear to make sure that our customers get the most efficient implementation customized to their needs, so that they can really take advantage of the solution and focus on their core business. So really, we are the benefits of partnering is, we bring in the best practice, we have the benchmarks, we compare you against the best in the industry, we have provisioning and build, we have roadmaps and architecture that can be shared, we help you prepare one of your own, and we have that end-to-end delivery model. With that, I'll move on to the second consideration. So in today's world, we know that everybody wants to make sure that they are very flexible. They want to have a very good hybrid and multi-cloud strategy. And Capgemini partners with Red Hat, and with their premium product, Red Hat OpenShift, it gives ability to get our customers what they want. They make sure that there is no vendor lock-in. Today you can be on AWS, tomorrow you can be on Azure. If you have security restrictions and you want to stay on-prem, you can do that. But the fact that you have leveraged OpenShift, you are able to move around from one cloud to another, and you get the ability to choose the best of the cloud from the cloud providers, depending on what your need is, right? And really, the final bottom line is you get to achieve greater financial control on this. And bottom line, how do you do this? You need to containerize the workloads, which is what we given the solution. We use the Kubernetes orchestration, and we use Red Hat OpenShift. And if you want to further expand your solutioning, you are able to leverage Red Hat runtimes and bring in additional technologies to further expand on this platform. So that talks about the second consideration, which is how to enable multi-cloud and hybrid cloud strategies. But now the most important and last but not the least is to leverage managed operations and support, right? This is where we bring in ability to provide managed support for the solution at a significantly reduced cost, ensuring you have proper compliance from the security and vulnerability perspective for the solution. We give you improved visibility with dashboard because we are constantly working on these solutions and we provide those updates to you. And there's a reliability with established SLAs and KPIs that can be configured for your needs. And ultimately, we are really ensuring that we are taking the whole ownership, and we bring you the best practices, the playbooks, the SOPs for managed operations. We include accelerators like the Capgemini Cloud Platform, and we get the Red Hat OpenShift to work for you for your solution. We bring in the automation and the AI. There were a lot of analytics that were already built in. We build extra for the ones that you need for your organization, and really make it more of a business driven SLA, KPI driven approach to achieve the business benefits. And as you saw, you can easily make this as a self funding model. So with that said, that's the three consideration. It is extremely easy to get started. And with that said, I will end this presentation with our contact information. Please reach out to us if you have any desire to look at a live demo of this and go into more details. We are happy to work with you to solve your problems, get your workers safe, productive, and ensure that you have proper COVID-19 handling through our solution. That's all I have. Thank you very much for your time, folks. Appreciate it.